Do you ever feel like your life has already ended, even though your heart is still beating? That quiet feeling, not a peace, but a pause, as if the world moved on without you. As if everything you once were, the songs you loved, the things that made you feel alive, were fading behind a locked door. And now you sit in a room that's not yours, in a place you never thought you'd call home, wondering if the best parts of your story are already written and gone. For many older adults, moving into a nursing home feels like closing a chapter. Some come with grief, others come after a fall or an illness, but almost all carry a quiet fear. Will I lose myself here? That's exactly what T. La Rock, a legendary hip-hop artist, feared when his life took a sharp turn. One day, he was on stage with LL Cool J. The next, he was in a hospital bed, his brain injured, his words locked inside. And then, a nursing home. The world forgot him, but inside those walls something stirred, a rhythm, a memory, a beat. And slowly, one note at a time, he didn't just find his voice again, he found his life. In this story, we'll show you how even in the quietest, most unexpected places, like a nursing home room, hope can rise, and how music, memory, and meaning can bring the soul back to life. Stay with us, because what you're about to hear may just help you or someone you love believe again.
Fear number 1. I'm afraid I'll lose who I am. For many seniors, the fear isn't death itself. It's the slow disappearance of who they are before death arrives. We all carry with us names, roles, passions, histories, pieces of identity collected over a lifetime. Mother, father, teacher, builder, singer, dancer, fighter. But when you walk through the doors of a nursing home, you start to wonder, will anyone here know who I was? Will I even remember? That was the quiet fear T. La Rock faced. In the 1980s, he was more than just a rapper. He was a pioneer, the voice behind It's Yours, the very first record with Def Jam Records. He helped birth an era. His name echoed through New York City streets. He was a legend, bold, vibrant, alive. But in 1994, a brutal assault changed everything. T. La Rock suffered a traumatic brain injury that robbed him of speech, memory, coordination, even the sense of who he was. He couldn't walk. He couldn't speak. He was barely aware of his own name. Doctors placed him in a nursing home for long-term care. Just 38 years old, surrounded by seniors 3 decades older, T. La Rock's identity began slipping through his fingers. He once said in an interview, "When your memory goes, so do your words. When your words go, so does your confidence. And when your confidence disappears, you feel like you no longer exist." But something remarkable happened. During his stay at the Jewish Home and Hospital in the Bronx, his therapists played music. At first, he didn't respond. Then one day, they played his own track, It's Yours. His fingers twitched. His lips moved. It was as if the rhythm of his past reached into the present and lit a spark. Therapy continued with music as the key. T. La Rock began tapping beats again, mumbling lyrics, reclaiming his rhythm and himself. The fear of losing who we are is real, but sometimes that identity is not gone. It's waiting to be reawakened by the people who care, by the music we once danced to, by the memories tucked deep in our hearts. If you're afraid of losing your identity, remember, you are not just your age. You are the music, the voice, the soul still inside.
Fear number 2. I'll be treated like a burden. There's a silent worry that creeps in with age. Am I just in the way now? For many seniors, even when no one says it aloud, the weight of dependence feels heavy. You used to carry others. Now people carry your tray, help you walk, remind you what day it is. And in a place like a nursing home where help is everywhere, So is the fear. Do they see me as a human or just a patient? T. LaRock felt it too. After his brain injury, he couldn't feed himself. He struggled with basic hygiene. Staff had to assist him with nearly everything, and at times he grew frustrated and ashamed. In an interview, he shared, "I was used to being the one people looked up to. I had fans. I had my own world. Suddenly, I needed help for everything. It made me feel small." And yet, he wasn't treated like a burden. Not at the Bronx Jewish home. One nurse began tapping her fingers while adjusting his blanket. He looked up. She smiled and said, "I know your music." He blinked. She nodded. "You're not a burden. You're a pioneer." That moment changed something. The staff, many from different backgrounds, ages, and cultures, didn't just care for his body. They listened. They asked about his music. They encouraged music therapy, dance rhythms, rhyming exercises, all based on what made him, him. It wasn't about pretending he wasn't struggling. It was about showing him he still mattered, not just because of what he did, but who he was. When caregivers treat you as a person, not a task, healing begins. And for those of us watching a loved one go through this stage, remember, they're not a burden. They're a library of music, memory, and meaning. They may need help, but what they give back in wisdom, spirit, and history is priceless. If you've ever worried about becoming too much for the people around you, if you've watched your parents or grandparents shy away from asking for help, share this video with them. Let them know they are not forgotten. They are not invisible. They are not a burden. Comment below. What moment made you feel seen again when you feared you'd been left behind? Your story may be the light someone else needs today.
Fear number 3. I'll never feel joy again. There's a kind of emptiness that settles in quietly as we age. Not just the slowing of the body, not just the silence of the home, but the fading of joy. It's that feeling when mornings no longer feel exciting, when laughter feels distant, and every day blends into the next. Many seniors in care homes express it with quiet voices. "I don't feel anything anymore. It's like I'm just waiting for the days to pass." T. LaRock, once a pioneering voice in the early days of hip-hop, knew that feeling all too well. After a traumatic brain injury in the 1990s, he lost nearly everything: his ability to speak clearly, his motor skills, and the spark that once made him feel alive. He was placed in a long-term care facility. Days passed slowly. Conversations were hard. Hope was harder. Until one day, something changed. A therapist in the nursing home brought a speaker into the room. They played a song. Not just any song. It was his song. "It's Yours," the track that started his career and defined a generation. And something happened. His eyes lit up. His lips moved ever so slightly. His fingers tapped the rhythm. His heart remembered. That moment became a turning point. Music therapy entered his daily life. The rhythms and rhymes awakened something inside. He began to regain speech, movement. But more than that, he regained emotion. Because when words failed, music spoke. When the world seemed dim, melody brought color back. His therapist later said, "It wasn't just about rehabilitation, it was about bringing him back to life." And isn't that what many older adults secretly long for? Not just more days,
but more days that feel alive. If you're watching this right now and thinking, I haven't smiled in a long time, or if you've stopped listening to the music you once loved, go find it again. That one song. That melody from when you were young. Close your eyes. Let it wash over you. And if you're caring for an aging parent or loved one, try playing the music they grew up with. Watch how their face softens, how the past lights up the present. Sometimes joy doesn't disappear. It just needs a song to come back.
Heartbreaking fear number 4. I'll be forgotten. It's one of the most silent fears many older adults carry. Once I'm in a nursing home, people will stop visiting. I'll fade away. It's not just about being alone. It's about becoming invisible, as if your life, your memories, and everything you once were no longer matter to anyone. This fear can creep in when family visits become less frequent, when old friends stop calling, or when birthdays pass by quietly. But what if being surrounded by strangers could actually lead to being seen? Let me tell you about Nancy Weiss, a retired school principal who moved into assisted living after a stroke made independent life unsafe. Nancy was never the type to enjoy small talk. She was proud, private, the kind of woman who kept her feelings guarded. Her biggest fear? I thought I'd be just a name on a door, forgotten even before I was gone. But something unexpected happened. The care staff at her facility noticed that Nancy was always reading in the lobby, always with a book in hand, always watching. One day, a young caregiver asked, "Would you help me start a book club here? We need someone who knows literature." Nancy hesitated, then said yes. That yes changed everything. Suddenly, people were coming to her. Residents, many of whom hadn't read in years, started discussing novels again, laughing over poetry, debating endings. Nancy wasn't forgotten. She was needed, valued, seen. One resident told her, "You brought my brain back to life." Another said, "You remind me of the teacher I always wished I had." And week after week, Nancy realized something. Even if your old life fades, even if your title is gone, you can still create a new meaning right where you are. If you're watching this and feeling like you've become invisible, please hear this. You still have stories. You still have wisdom. You still have something to give. Sometimes it just takes one small yes to be remembered again. Because the truth is, you're not done leaving your mark.
Fear number 5. Every day feels empty now. Not all fears in old age come with sharp edges. Some are quiet, some are slow, and some, perhaps the most dangerous of all, slip in unnoticed. It's the fear of emotional emptiness. Not loneliness exactly, not sadness, but a kind of numbness where time passes but nothing feels like it matters. I wake up and go through the motions. I sit, I eat, I sleep, and I wait for what I'm not even sure anymore. This is the fear that many seniors feel, but rarely speak aloud. That life is no longer being lived, only survived. But there's one story that shows it doesn't have to stay that way. It comes from Ken Dykewald, one of the world's leading voices on aging, but more importantly here, a son. After moving his father into a care facility, Ken began to notice something unsettling. His father, once vibrant and full of stories, had grown quiet. Not ill, not withdrawn, just disconnected, as though he had turned the volume down on his own life. Ken tried everything to cheer him up. Visits, gifts, jokes, music. Nothing really worked, until he asked his dad to try something different. "Just write down one thing each day," Ken said. "Something small that you noticed, something that made you feel anything." Reluctantly, his father agreed. Day 1, blank. Day 2, still blank. Day 3, a nurse laughed loudly today. It made me smile. That was it. But it was a start. The next day, a bird landed on the windowsill, bright red chest, stayed for a while. Then, I remembered Mom's perfume when I saw a flower on the table. One line at a time, the fog began to lift. Ken's father didn't become a new man overnight, but he started noticing again. He started feeling again. Other residents heard about it. Some joined in. They called it the beauty hunt. They shared their notes, compared joys, noticed more, laughed more. The days didn't get busier, but they became fuller. If you're watching this now and your days feel like they blur together, if time is passing but joy is not arriving, try what Ken's father did. Notice, name, write. One moment a day, one flicker of beauty, one piece of your life that still glows. Because a meaningful life doesn't always come from grand adventures. Sometimes it comes from remembering that even quiet days still carry light. Even now, especially now.
So now, dear viewer, you've seen the fears, you've heard the stories, and more importantly, you've seen how each fear can be answered not with fantasy, but with real human experience. These were not theories, they were lived truths, shared by people who've walked the same path you're on now. Maybe you recognized a piece of yourself in them. The hesitation, the ache, the late-night thoughts that keep you staring at the ceiling while the world sleeps. Maybe you've felt the quiet dread of losing your purpose, the fear of becoming a burden, or simply the fear that nothing ahead will ever be meaningful again. But here's the truth we uncovered together. You are not the first to feel this, and you are not alone. Ken's father wrote himself back into life with a pen and a notebook. Betty White gave her joy away through laughter and found her own in return. Norman Lear kept dreaming past 100, not because he had to, but because he still could. They didn't wait to feel ready. They didn't let their age write the last chapter. They picked up the pen and wrote a new one. So now I gently ask you, what if you did too? What if tomorrow you woke up and gave yourself permission not to be young again, but to be fully present in the age you are? What if you let your life surprise you? Email. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment below. What part of today's video meant the most to you? Your wisdom, your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. Comment. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing and turning on the bell. It helps us reach more people just like you, with the messages they need most at the time they need them. Because aging isn't the end. It's simply a different season. And some of the most beautiful things only bloom late in life. Thank you for spending this time with me. You matter. And your story isn't over. We'll see you in the next video.